August being typically the hottest, driest month of the year, a lot of us maybe are not even thinking about the garden except for keeping up with some watering and some weed management. If you have been using that rain barrel, this is actually a good time to do a little bit of maintenance. When the barrel is emptied in between rains, go ahead and dump that barrel out completely. Take the garden hose and rinse it out to get any debris out of it so that you have a nice clean barrel to start collecting rainwater again. If you have been using that rainwater to keep that vegetable garden going, you probably are really in good production right now with your summer vegetables, your tomatoes, your green beans, your squashes, and so forth. Now don't forget that to keep those vegetables going, besides water, they need a little bit of fertilizer every 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. So this is probably a good time, if you haven't been doing it, to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of additional fertilizer around those plants. Of course, this time of year, you probably need to be keeping up with pest control as well. Our tomatoes, we want to keep that fungicide application on them to prevent them from getting early blight or especially late blight, which can take your plants out early. But we also need to be keeping an eye out for our insect problems. Mexican bean beetles are probably a real problem by now. Similarly, your squash bugs and some of the caterpillars and so forth. So check your garden regularly and either hand pick those insects and remove them, or use an appropriate either organic or other insecticide to keep those under control. Now you can do some planting in the garden this time as well. Now hopefully when your summer vegetables are finishing up, your squash and beans and so forth, you're going ahead and getting those plants removed from the garden to remove pest problems along with them. That should open up a little bit of space in your garden to do some fall planting. August is the time of year to start planting the cool season vegetables. Now you probably will go and pick up a seed packet for things like all of your different kinds of lettuces and your leafy greens. Those seeds get planted quite shallow in the garden soil, so you will need to keep them watered regularly to get the seeds germinated and the plants growing. You probably will go to the garden center and purchase transplants for your cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, and so forth. Water those in really well and keep them well watered during this hot weather. You might need to give them a little shade of some sort the first week or two while they get acclimated to the heat as well. In the landscape, again, besides watering, we probably are mostly just keeping up with things like weed control. Now this is not a time to be doing any fertilizing of your shrubbery beds. Extra nitrogen this time of year can actually prevent those shrubs from slowing down and going dormant as they need to be doing in the next couple of months. So don't put any fertilizer out in the landscape. And similarly, you don't want to do a lot of pruning. Oh, you're not going to hurt anything to snip a few stray branches off of the shrubs, but this is not a good time to do any overall shearing or any severe pruning, because again, that'll stimulate new growth, which will cause the plants not to harden off adequately before fall. We talked before last month about keeping the flowers deadheaded. Get out there every week or so and remove the spent flowers from your reblooming daylilies, your other perennial flowers, and your butterfly bush to keep them blooming all the way until frost. Now, of course, with the lawn, again, we're mostly just sort of keeping up with a little bit of mowing. By the time we get to the end of August, it's the time that people start to think about the fall lawn care. I would not put any nitrogen fertilizer on a lawn that is dormant or hasn't been having adequate rainfall. So you probably still want to hold off until September before putting the fertilizer on the lawn. Similarly with reseeding those bare areas or doing any overseeding. There's no need to be in a big hurry for that. If you've not got good moisture in the ground, I would hold off on that until September as well. Another thing that you want to pay attention to is your container gardens. Container gardens by now are probably getting a little overgrown and maybe need a little bit of pruning back, cut back some of the excessive growth, thin out some of the growth. This is also a good time to put some liquid fertilizer on that container garden to give it another boost and keep, of course, giving it adequate water, and that container garden can look really great all the way through fall. Also, don't forget about a little bit of attention to things like your bird baths. Our hummingbirds are really active this time of year, so keep those hummingbirds feeders filled, and clean out those bird baths about once a week and keep them filled as well. If you'd like additional information about gardening, contact us at Cooperative Extension.